This time we will be discussing another kind of obligation, which is obligation with a period. Now, usually itong obligation with a period ay dinidistinguish with conditional obligation. Why? Okay? Bakit? Uh, ito kasing obligation with the period is a kind of obligation wherein its performance is subject to a term or period and can only be demandable when that period expires. Okay. Uh, kung yung kanina sa conditional obligation ay ang base ang kumbaga ang ano niya ay conditions, sa obligation of the period ang meron period, time. Kumbaga, kung yung sa condition ay future and uncertain, itong sa obligation of the period naman, it is future and certain. Itong tinatawag na period, sabi dito, such period is a day certain which must necessarily come, although it may not be known when. Okay. Kung yung kanina sa conditional obligation, yung condition na tinatawag natin ay future, future, yung sa hinaharap, at uncertain, ibig sabihin hindi natin sigurado kung mangyayari o hindi. But this time in an obligation to in an obligation with the period, yung period na tinutukoy natin ay sure to come kasi usually it happens, you are giving someone a time. Okay, you are giving a period, a day certain, kumbaga sigurado na araw. We will see what I mean when we get to the examples. Okay, ang ibig sabihin nun, a day certain means that it is sure to happen, kumbaga mangyayari talaga siya anytime na iset ng dalawang tao who are constituting the obligation. Okay, it can also be suspensive or resolutory. Gaya nung sa conditional obligation, pwede rin siyang suspensive or resolutory. Dun sa sa suspensive, once the period arrives, kapag dumating yung period, ibig sabihin nun, the obligation, it will give rise to the obligation. So, resolutory naman siya kung when the period arrives or when the term arrives, the obligation is extinguished. Okay, we will see that later in the examples. Our first example is one that is an example of a suspensive period. Okay. What is a suspensive period? Example niya ay, I will pay you on December 25, 2019. Okay. This is an old material. Sige, let's change that. I will pay you on December 25, 2021. Okay. Is December 25, 2021 a future is a future time? Yung December 25, 2021 ba is a future time? Yes. Is it a day certain? Yes. Okay. We are assuming that December 25, 2021 will come. Okay? Isa lang naman ang rason kung bakit hindi yan darating. Gumunaw na yung mundo by then, but let's not hope that happens. And at least legally, we don't see that happening anytime soon. So we consider this a period. So I will pay you on December 25, 2021. This is suspensive dahil mag-give rise lang yung obligation to pay when December 25, 2021 comes. Okay? But again, it is certain. Sigurado tayo na darating yung time na yan. So, unlike in conditional obligation na hindi ka pa sigurado kung darating yung condition na sinasabi doon o hindi, this time, in obligation with the period, the time is sure to come. Okay? Next, yung resolutory naman tayo. Resolutory period. I will lend you my laptop until December 30, 2021. Okay, let's change the examples there. Okay, again, I will lend you my laptop until December 30, 2021. Okay. December 30, 2021 is a time that is future. Tama? And it is certain. Sigurado rin. Okay? To happen. Now, this is a resolutory period because at the time na constitute yung obligation, at the time na nagawa yung obligation ng dalawang parties, uh, the obligation begins. Kumbaga, pala nun, papahiram mo na yung laptop mo by then. Pero matatapos yung pagpapahiram mo, yung obligation mo to lend the laptop when the period comes. Okay? So, December 30, 2021, nung dumating yung time na yun, ma-stop na yung ano mo. Ma-stop na yung obligation mo to lend the laptop. That's what makes it resolutory period. Now, think about this, kapag when we're speaking of suspensive or resolutory. Kapag suspensive, be it conditional or with a period, kapag suspensive, once na before the happening of the condition or the period, before the happening of those, wala ka pang obligation. The obligation only starts kapag nag-exist na yung period o yung condition. By then onwards, meron ka ng obligation. In resolutory, before the happening of the condition or the period, bago mangyari yung condition o period, may obligation ka, nakakat yung obligation mo when the period or the condition comes. Okay. So that is obligation with the period. Question. Babayaran kita kapag kaya ko na. Babayaran kita kapag may pera na ako. Is that an obligation with the period or is that a conditional obligation? Okay. In one Supreme Court decision, the court said yung phrase na I will pay you when I have the means or I will pay you when I have money is considered as an obligation with a period. Okay? Hindi siya conditional. Ibig sabihin, it is a future time and that future time is certain. Mangyayari yon. Okay? Although, gaya nga ng sabi natin kanina, a period is a day certain, which is certain to come, mangyayari talaga siya, although it may not be known when. Hindi mo man alam kung kailan, pero it will happen. Okay? So, yun. Usually, ang obligation of the period ay nakalagay ang specific date, except yung sa kapag when my means allow me to, mga ganon, yun lang yung perhaps yung medyo malabong part doon. Pero otherwise, obligation with the period is very simple. Okay. Let's have alternative obligations. Dito naman sa alternative obligation, meron kang dalawang prestation, 2 or more prestations. Only one or some of them are due. Kumbaga, maraming options pero isa o ilan lang ang due doon sa mga yan. Okay. Ang example natin dito is, as payment for your service, you can choose between my house, my Land Cruiser, or my piggery. Okay. Kumbaga, bilang kabayaran ng ng serbisyo mo, pwede kang pumili between my house, my Land Cruiser, or my piggery. Dahil or ang ginamit niya dyan, it is an alternative condition, obligation rather. Kasi hindi pwedeng lahat. Okay? Isa lang or some are due. Now, yun yung essence ng alternative obligations. Kumbaga, maraming prestations, maraming object na pinagpipilian, pero only some are due na. Okay, paso na. Now, in alternative obligations, the choice can be given to the debtor or the creditor. Sa alternative obligations, pwedeng ang pumili ay yung creditor, yung kung kanino ibibigay, or yung debtor, yung taong dapat na magbigay. Okay. Now, Sige, let's think about this. Kung ikaw ang papipiliin, what will you choose? Yung bahay, yung Land Cruiser, or yung piggery? Ako, I would choose the house, of course. Well, depende kung anong house yan. But anyway, it's up to you. Yun nga yung point ng alternative obligations. You have the choice. You or you or the debtor has the choice which ones to give. Okay. Now, if one of the prestations is lost through fortuitous event, the debtor shall still perform. The creditor may choose from the remainder. Okay. Kung paano daw kung nawala yung isa dyan? Okay. For example, nagkaroon ng ASF, so nawala yung babuyan. Okay. Kung ganyan daw nangyari, ang dati sa fortuitous event, yung mass na pagkamatay ng mga baboy, ASF, that's a fortuitous event. What will happen kapag daw nawala yung isa sa mga prestations? Okay. Yung debtor, in this case, yung nagbabayad ng serbisyo, can still perform yung obligation niya kasi may dalawa pang natitira. So what can the creditor do? Ano yung pwedeng gawin ng anong pwedeng gawin? So pwedeng pumili between the house and the Land Cruiser pa. Okay. Sino ang mamimili doon? The creditor daw. Okay. If one of the prestations is lost through the debtor's fault, creditor may claim any of remainders with damages. Okay. If, for example, if one of the prestations is lost through the debtor's fault, the creditor may claim any of remainders with damages. Kumbaga, paano daw kung nawala yung isa dyan because of the fault nung debtor? For example, nawala yung bahay. Bakit? Kasi sinunog ni creditor, ay ni debtor, for example. Sinunog nung may-ari ng bahay, sinunog nung debtor. So what will happen? Si creditor daw pwedeng pumili diyan sa dalawa, yung Land Cruiser or yung piggery, pero this time with damages na. Bakit may damages na? Because there's already fault. Tama? So, ayan. May damages ng kasama. Bakit yung sa fortuitous event? Yung kanina, yung example natin. Well, that's fortuitous event. No one wanted that to happen. Okay. Doon sa example natin kanina, only one of the prestation is lost through fortuitous event. In another instance, paano naman if all prestations are lost through fortuitous event? What will happen? So, kumbaga sabay-sabay nawala yung house, yung Land Cruiser, at yung piggery. What could have happened? That makes that possible. A mudslide, gaya nung yung recently sa Cagayan and other places in the country. So, if all these prestations are lost through fortuitous event, the debtor has no liability. Remember yung discussion natin last time with fortuitous event. Kapag fortuitous event, again, the obligation will be extinguished. The obligation is extinguished. Kaya lang kasi in this case, sa alternative obligation, kung isa lang ang nawala, it's not totally impossible to fulfill yung obligation niya. Meron pa namang other options. So in that case, the law gives him the choice. The law gives the creditor the choice to choose the others. Pero this time kasi kung nawala lahat, wala nang chance si debtor wala nang chance si debtor na makapag-fulfill ng kanyang obligation. So in this case, the debtor has no liability anymore. Okay? In alternative obligations. However, kung if all of the prestations are lost through the debtor's fault, kung nawala naman lahat, yung bahay, yung Land Cruiser, yung piggery, dahil sa kasalanan ni debtor, what will happen is the creditor can claim for damages. The creditor may claim for damages. So, since wala na siya maibigay, wala nang maibigay out of the three, wala nang ibang choice kundi for the creditor to claim for damages. Okay. Those are the simple rules when it comes to alternative obligation. Remember, so far let's recap. Yung pure obligation, yung walang any condition or term, yung conditional obligation, subject to yung may condition, kumbaga subject to condition. So obligation with a period, it is subject to a term or a period which is certain to happen. Yung sa condition, it's uncertain. Okay? In alternative obligations naman, there are two or more prestations. Dalawa or more ang objects of the obligation. So, yun nga, the rules are as follows. Kung isang nawala, pwede pong pumili si creditor out of the remainder. Depende kung fortuitous event, the creditor may choose from the remainder. Kapag fault ni debtor, the creditor may claim from the remainder with damages naman. Kung nawala lahat through fortuitous event, walang liability si debtor. If nawala lahat because of the fault of the debtor, the creditor may claim for damages. Okay. So, another kind of obligation is obligation with a penal clause. Okay. An obligation with a penal clause is one with an accessory undertaking attached to obligation to assume greater liability in case of breach or non-fulfillment of obligation. Ito naman, yung mga may penalty. Kumbaga, kapag hindi niya nagawa or kapag hindi niya na-fulfill yung obligation niya or in case na magkaroon ng breach of obligation, nadadagdagan yung liability niya kung hindi niya ma-fulfill yung obligation niya. That's as simple as it is. So that is obligation with a period.